Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Take your attention, please. Okay, so thank you very much for coming tonight. I'm Patrik Juranek, Director of Startup Grind in Prague, and together with me is here Nico, who is our ambassador. So if you have any question regarding to Startup Grind, there's Nico. So if you have any question regarding to Startup Grind, after the event you will have time to talk to her, and then she will be more than happy to answer your questions. At the beginning, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Startup Grind, what we are doing, what we are trying to achieve here in Prague and in a Czech startup ecosystem. Since the Startup Grind is the largest startup community in the world, we are actually in 280 cities and 89 countries. We are trying to help entrepreneurs on their way during the startups and entrepreneurial way, and we are actually trying to inspire them, connect them, and educate them, connect them with their mentors, advisors, potential investors. And our vision here in Czech Republic, we are trying to looking for synergies here on this market and looking for some added value to the startups and as well for other parts as investors and corporates as well. And we are actually right now looking for the people to the Prague team, and as well we would like to expand to Brno and Ostrava. So if you know about anyone who would be interested in this kind of thing, we would be more than happy if you will tell us. Also, I would like to give a big thank you to Opero for providing this amazing venue. So if you have time, you can ask for the small tour here. It's a really nice place. And three more things. First, please don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We'll be really grateful for that. Secondly, if you have any questions during our interview, please go to Slido, and under the code SGP you can ask questions. And at the end of the event, we'll have some time for Q&A, so we'll definitely try to answer them. And finally, and most importantly, I would like to ask you to help anyone in this room, maybe just give some advice or some feedback on their ideas or create some meaningful connection. And tonight, we have a really amazing person here as a guest. It's a community director for China and Asian Pacific region in Startup Grind, hustler. And my dear friend, please give warm welcome to Smejkal.
Thanks. I think it works. Yeah, I think it works. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you very much for coming. I guess so. We are doing it in English, I guess, right? Because we have some people in the audience that don't speak Czech.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is it okay for everyone?
Yeah. Is it fine? Cool.
Cool. Okay. Actually, I was so excited to have you here because as a friend and as I know, since you are a hustler in all around China, so maybe let's go back to the beginnings. So if you could tell us how actually did you take the idea to live in Asia? Because since I know you have a pretty strong background in business, because you actually during your studies you built your own online business. You are trying to you are actually helped to launch venture for a rapid internet into markets as well, and so many great things before you moved to China. So why did you make this move?
Yeah, so it actually started at the university, right? So I was studying in Prague at Charles University, and I always wanted to do more, so I was always looking for some opportunities where I can get more experience, or, so I was part of some organizations, for example, at the university, and then actually my former boss over there is, he actually hired me, he hired me to work with him at Rocket Internet, because Rocket Internet was launching a venture which was called Food Panda. It doesn't exist anymore because, Dame took over, and now actually Delivery Hero, and it's kind of linked to Food Panda. They bought it and now they IPO'd, but that's where it actually started. And then I started my own business. So the business was actually connected to China. So that was the first touch, and the reason why I actually got excited about China, because we were importing products from China, Xiaomi brand, mobile phones, accessories, and stuff like that, and we're selling it here in Prague or Czech Republic and Slovakia. And so that was actually the reason why I moved to China in the first place, because the business was doing quite well at some point, and I was like, I need to meet those suppliers that we have there face to face so that we can grow the business potentially even further. So that's how I got to China.
Okay, and so what was your first feelings about China in the first few months? I mean, because it's a huge market, it's probably really difficult about some language barrier, because I don't know, do you know some percentage, how many people in Asia is speaking by English, you know?
I don't know the percentage, but definitely it's very small, right? Like in the big cities or at the university, when you go to Peking University, like, you know, right? Because you spend some time in China as well. So of course, you know, if you go on the street and you want to get something, you know, you're not gonna get it if you don't speak Chinese, at least a little bit of Chinese, right? So, but for me, it was actually pretty good, because I went there through university, because I was still studying at the university in Prague, and so the easiest way to get to China was through exchange program. So what I did, because Charles University at that point, they didn't have any contract with a Chinese university, and so I approached Chinese universities by myself, and I said, like, I want to go there and I want to be an exchange student. Do you want me, basically? And I ended up kind of signing the contract. Eventually, Charles University signed the contract with the Peking University in Shenzhen, and so I went there, and so it was easier, right? Because you arrive to China and you're taken care of, basically, because, you know, they have people that speak English, they will pick you up or they will show you around, and you live on campus somewhere where people are from all around the world, so you're not just thrown to China without any knowledge and without any support. So it was much easier for me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, China, it's a huge market. It's population around 1.3 billion people.
Yeah.
And actually, when I read the last China Internet report from Edith Yang from Finance Startups, she mentioned that around 70% of the people is actually on a smartphone, and around 700 million people is connected to the internet. So, what do you think is behind it? Because I know that there are some urban capital cities and everything, but after that there are some more rural parts in China. So, is it exactly the infrastructure so good all around China, or?
Yeah, so they started at a different level, right, in terms of development, and so they basically skipped this PC era that we had here. Of course, they have computers and in the office and stuff, but one great example is that you go to an event and you give business cards, right? Everybody wants to give you a business card, but you will never receive an email from them. Mm-hmm. Everybody will connect with you on WeChat, which was originally only on the mobile phone. It's a social media platform, and basically that's how they communicate, right? And so that's how it started. So they are really, I would say, like, they're really addicted to mobile phones. They shop from mobile phones, and China is the biggest e-commerce market, right? So it's also linked to that they have that infrastructure there, and they want to try new things, they want to buy, they want to invest into new stuff, and really try it out. So it's exciting. It's actually exciting how it's developing right now.
Okay, and if, for example, if anyone would like to enter this market, are there any government support from the side? I mean, like some tax initiatives or whatever is helping? Because I know that the China government is one of the biggest venture around the world, because they are raising funds around $231 billion.
It's crazy.
So, and I actually maybe I can just if there is some sector, some area where they are trying to push and trying to develop maybe faster than others, because I read some article about AI, that this is one of the area where they are trying to do it.
I think they talk about the same stuff we talk about here, right? Like, it's AI, now it's blockchain and smart cities and all these things. I think it's basically the same. Of course, AI for them is a little bit different because they have so many people, so they have so much data. that they can use, and that's why the algorithms are actually better, because AI is getting better. The more data you have, the better it is. So that's why they invest a lot, and they want to become #1 country when it comes to AI. But the trends are basically similar. In China, it's just that it's developing much faster, because you mentioned the government and you mentioned the money. So, there is, of course, many bad things about China probably, but one of the good things about having just one political party is that you decide on something and you do it, because there is nobody to question the decision. They just do it, right? So when it comes to venture capital that you mentioned, that they are basically the biggest venture capital fund in the world, because they have like maybe even $300 billion that go into entrepreneurship, is that they basically set in this latest 5-year plan that they're going to support entrepreneurs and people that actually have innovative ideas, and they want to create new wave of creativity and innovation and stuff like that. So yes, they pour a lot of money, and of course sometimes it's inefficient, right? Because if you just pour money and you don't really think about it much, you do it so fast, then of course it's probably not the best way in many cases. But yeah, it's crazy, how fast it is.
And it's possible for example, for foreign entrepreneurs to actually ask for this money as well with their projects, or it's only better for the startups from inside of Asia?
No, you definitely can, and there is many programs there that are devoted specifically to foreigners and foreign talent and foreign companies, because yes, they want to get the talent and they want to get the technologies that they can adapt or they can learn from, or they can just use and maybe create that next smart city or whatever it is. And of course the AI talent and machine learning and this, because there is not enough talent, right? Like anywhere, like everybody is looking for new talent, right? So definitely they do it, but of course it really depends who you are, what kind of business you have, and what you want to do. So you can apply for different grants, you can join different competitions. There's a lot of competitions around China that you can just come there, you can pitch your idea, and if you win, you are going to get some money. You can even set up a company basically for free. They're going to help you with everything in specific city. But the downside of this is that you cannot really choose the city. It's just if you go for a competition that is in Shenzhen, you cannot set up a company in Beijing, because it's a different government, it's different funding, and they kind of compete with each other as well. So that's kind of the downside. So it's not really that you're going to apply to the government and you're just going to get the money and you can go anywhere in China. You really need to be strategic about what kind of things you choose, what kind of people you talk to, and stuff like that.
Okay, and about the location as well. So you have to think about the different conditions for if you would like to start a business in China, for example, from Beijing to Shenzhen is different.
Of course.
Do you think that there is some location which is like the maybe best for starting a business? If anyone would like to think about starting business or expand business to China and would like to have some branch there? So
it's hard to say. Again, you cannot really say that in Czech Republic for everybody the best city is Prague, right? Like it really depends. For some people it's Brno, for some people it's Prague, for some people it's even different city, right? So it's not that there is only one city that is the best and everybody wants to go there. It really depends what you want to do. So Shanghai is, for example, very international. So if you go there, there's a lot of expats and there is a lot of foreign companies, and so the life is easier, let's say, because you can really get in touch with people that share the same mindset and thinking, and it's much easier for you to adapt to that environment. But Shenzhen, for example, I love Shenzhen. I live there, right? Because it's one of the cleanest cities in China. So there is no air pollution, as you may have heard about, from the media, that in Beijing it's disaster, that you cannot really breathe. You need to have the mask and stuff like that. So in Shenzhen, it's basically non-existent, because it's close to Hong Kong. It's basically new city. It's only 30 years old city. They build it up from zero, from scratch. So that's, again, for somebody it's good. And also, there is a manufacturing, right? So if you do hardware startup, then probably Shenzhen is the best for you, because all the factories are there and all the infrastructure when it comes to manufacturing something is in Shenzhen. So Beijing, for example, it's the startup city of China. no matter what other people think, but there is most of the unicorns are in Beijing, most of the money, because there is government in Beijing, right? So if government invests money into entrepreneurship, then it goes through Beijing. So most of the money is in Beijing, and most of the talent is in Beijing as well, because all the biggest universities and best universities, Peking University and Tsinghua University, they're all in Beijing, right? So you cannot really say that there is one city that is the best. You can base yourself somewhere, but you will probably have to travel a lot. If you want to raise money, you will go to Beijing. If you want to do something that is financial blockchain stuff, you probably go to Shanghai, because there is this financial industry. Chengdu, again, that's more IT kind of thing. So yeah, it's not really one place. It's all together.
Okay, and as you mentioned, Shenzhen, you are based right now in Shenzhen. So how is it working there? Because I actually read some articles about Apple, that they are opening R&D center there.
Yeah.
So do you think that this is actually, as you mentioned, the infrastructure, manufacturing, many really highly skilled workers are there. So do you think that this is some kind of reason why they are going to Shenzhen? Like this kind of the big companies, Apple, maybe Facebook.
Again, if you manufacture, you have to be in Shenzhen, or you need to have at least part of the business. Of course, it's getting more expensive, right? So even companies and Foxconn and these manufacturing, these juggernauts, they're moving to different provinces because it's cheaper, right? So even Dongguan and like other, and even beyond Guangdong province, which is Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and that's where I live. So yeah, they're moving because it's getting cheaper or more expensive in Shenzhen.
And it's home as well of the Tencent.
Yeah.
And I saw that you were actually in the skyscraper of the Tencent.
Yeah.
So did you have some cooperation there, or just have a look around and meet some people? Because I heard that the Tencent is actually owning a really large percentage of whole Chinese internet.
Absolutely.
Together with the Baidu and Alibaba.
Yeah, so Tencent, right? So I don't know how many people have heard about Tencent, but I guess a lot of the people in the room, if they're interested in China, they have heard about Tencent because WeChat, right? WeChat it's by Tencent, also QQ and other services that basically run the internet in China. They're all operated and created by Tencent. But yeah, so we work with Tencent actually, because we even organized some trips to Silicon Valley, because our company is from Silicon Valley. So we even organized some trips for Tencent, because they of course want to learn from the mecca of entrepreneurship, right? Silicon Valley. So we did that. So that's why we have some sort of relationship, even though it's hard to deal with them, honestly. Many people ask me all the time, can you please get me to Tencent? Can I speak to some management guys? Like, it's not that easy, everybody talks to them, everybody wants to talk to them, everybody wants to pitch a startup to them. So it's really hard to get hold of them. But they're really, really big, and so you cannot live in China without getting in touch with some of their products or something.
Yeah, actually, you right now mentioned one really interesting thing about how is to dealing and talking with the managers and people in China. For example, if anyone from here, as you mentioned, you actually built one online business, and you have some supplier in China. So, what do you think are most differences, approaches, how to talk with the people, how to looking for the partner in China? If you would like to start some company, some business, and you are looking for supplier. So, what do you think is important for this to know?
So you mentioned very important thing, and that's having a partner. I think this is the number one thing that you really need to consider if you ever want to go to China and do some business. Because, it doesn't matter if you speak Chinese, and yes, my Chinese is not fluent yet, but I do speak a little bit of Chinese, but I have a lot of friends that have been there for 10 years, more than 10 years, and they speak Chinese, but it's still not the thing, right? Because it's just different, the trust thing is there, right? And also that if you wanna get in touch with these companies, there must be some sort of value exchange, or even that somebody needs to introduce you to somebody. And of course, Chinese people, for them, it's easier to get in touch with other Chinese companies and people, and they will probably know the right people to talk to, and you will, because in China it's a different internet, right? So you will not find information online. Like, you cannot go to Google, you cannot go to Facebook, you cannot just Google stuff online. And WeChat is great, but it's closed ecosystem. ecosystem. So you cannot just search for somebody there. You cannot find Jack Ma there and start talking to him, right? Like somebody need to invite you to the group so that you can be part of that conversation, for example. So you really need to have a Chinese partner, a local partner, to help you out on this journey, because otherwise it's impossible, you know? And the second thing that you said is, you know, yes, I had a business, but it was completely different business, right? Like I was dealing with a girl actually that was just buying phones for me at Huaqiangbei, which is the biggest electronics market. And you know, like her English and her style of communication, and it's completely different when you know, to style of communication of Tencent, let's say, right? Because like she's just like entrepreneur herself. You know, you need to really talk like very simple English, you know, with her, so that there is no miscommunication. Even though they want to make money, right? But still, you need to be very, you know, it needs to be very simple, the communication. But with Tencent, again, like one example. So we had CEO of Deutsche Telekom coming to Shenzhen, and they approached me because they knew that I'm there, and they wanted to get in touch with Tencent. And so I was like, it's a big deal, right? Like CEO of Deutsche Telekom, it's like, I don't know, $70 billion company, and it's huge, right? But it took us 2 weeks to get to somebody, and I had to go through my Chinese partner, my friend that actually has been dealing with Tencent and Chinese companies for a long time, to even get hold of some assistant or somebody who was dealing with some managers there that were actually interested in meeting somebody like that person, right? So it's definitely not easy, and you need to have the right introduction as always, you know. It's even here, right? Like not everybody will talk to you right away when you just knock on the door.
Yeah, so you need WeChat as well. You would like to communicate with them.
Of course, yeah, you need WeChat because nobody really, as I said, like, yes, people that deal with foreign companies, they use email and stuff, but in China, like, you know, I'm now here, and my WeChat is just full of messages, you know, when I check it 3 times a day, because, you know, I just don't check it all the time right now, but it's just crazy what's going on there.
Actually, this is one of the most frequent apps inside of the China. Because
yeah, of course, everybody has that.
Everybody is spending there maybe around more than 90 minutes per day.
Because it's everything, right? It's not only messaging app, but it's basically Slack, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all of these apps that we use. We use 5 different apps to do business or to communicate with people day to day here, but they have just one. You know, you can send files, you can create groups, you can pay at a restaurant, you know, you can send money to my friend, to your friend, you can order taxi from WeChat, you can pay for flights, you can order hotels, vacation, everything is in one app because they have this WeChat Pay, and so the ecosystem, you know, yeah, so it's crazy.
Actually, you bring me to one thing that in the morning you actually put the like and then for the article about the KLM and airlines,
yeah,
which is the first outside of the China airline who's accepting WeChat payment. So do you think this is some of the first step that this application is opening to other markets? Because
it's happening all over Europe, and I think even in Czech Republic, you know, there is already companies that are trying to, you know, like even Bank of China is opening very soon, right? Like I think they have office at Florentinum. I just went by, so I saw that, and also you have different companies that are just helping people that are selling some stuff that Chinese people are interested in, right? Be it beauty or, you know, manufactura and like all of these, like, because like tourists, right? They come and they want to spend money. So you need to make it easier for them to spend the money so that you can get a lot of money from them. So, you know, they try to really adapt, and yeah, WeChat Pay, Alipay, that's what Chinese people use all the time. They're used to it, so.
And do you think that they will expand with their messaging app as well, or this is more like about like payments? Because I know that there is some model, you can scale it into other countries, and many people around outside from
yeah,
China is traveling around the world. So yeah, of course. This is
They tried in the US, I think maybe 1 or 2 years, or maybe even I don't know when exactly it was, but they tried in the US to expand with the messaging app. But it's hard, right? Because like why people here in this room that don't go to China why they should use another app to communicate, just to send messages to other people, right? Because they already have Messenger, they already have WhatsApp, you know, and messages are for free now, right? So like why they should use that? So they failed. They spent a lot of money on that, and they failed. And now what they're trying to do, for example, in India and Asia and Southeast Asia, and maybe even here later on, is that they take the WeChat Pay, the payment system. They push that because that's the digitalization of the country, right? And for example, India wants to do that. They have like a big strategy for that. So they invest into companies that are doing the same stuff, and they try to integrate and push it through different avenues.
And do you think, because I'm using actually WeChat as well, actually for communication with you.
Well, not that much. I'm still on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, and so what do you think about VPN? Because here in Europe we heard many things from the different sources, from Bloomberg and other sources, that China is trying to block this kind of connection with the other world. So do you think is it only buzzing, or this is some kind of strategy that government would like to actually block it because of some reason?
Yeah, of course. Like they have some reasons for that, because maybe they're afraid of sharing all the data, or other people having access to the data, because that's the most precious thing right now, right? Data, because Google knows everything about us, and that's why they're such a huge company, and they can sell it and they monetize it and stuff like that. So of course it's this kind of war, who is going to control what, and of course they don't want to give other companies the advantage, right? Maybe, right? Like I don't know. Of course I don't talk to the politicians, so I don't know what's the real strategy there. But it's honestly I don't know what's going to happen, because since I moved to China, I have heard many times that they're going to shut everything down. But sometimes it's slower, sometimes it doesn't work, but like eventually it works, and you can figure out your way around it. I think this is more related to people that are actually from China, and not for foreigners, because I heard there was an article that was actually like really trying to dig deeper into this issue, and so they said that if there is a company that doesn't have a license to run a VPN, you need to get a license from the government to do it and to make business around it, then they're going to shut you down. And even Apple, right? They shut down many VPN apps on their app store because they didn't have the license. But the ones like VPN, like Astral or Express, it's still there, and I don't have any issue with that. I don't know. Maybe it's going to change, maybe not. But the thing that I heard, like even companies in China, like look at DJI, right? Like DJI, the drone company, for example. Like that's the number one drone company in the world. It's a Chinese company, and they need to have access to Facebook from China, because otherwise they cannot do the business, right? So they can apply for license, and they can have a special internet cable link to their offices so that they can access everything, right? So it's not illegal per se, but if you want to do big business, or if you want to make business around VPNs, then you probably need to have a license. And then like if you are just a person, like especially if you're a foreigner, I think definitely it's not going to be like super big issue, hopefully for us, because otherwise I will have to move to Hong Kong, I guess.
Okay, and actually, as you mentioned, the data collection and some privacy collection from some this kind of thing from Chinese government, do you think that this is one of the reasons why the biggest companies at the market, actually the Uber and other big companies, it's not so possible for them to enter China, because for example, Airbnb is right now trying for that. Yeah. Maybe that's the case, that they are some that way open to share this data.
No, absolutely. So there are many things, right? It's not just this thing that because of that Uber failed in China, right? Like it's combination of many things, and actually Uber is one of those companies that was actually it's one of the biggest successes of American companies or foreign companies, foreign startups to enter Chinese market and actually get something out of it, right? So yes, they failed. They had to sell the company to Didi, which is the local Uber, but they still have 10% of that company, so they can get some dividends, or they can get some revenue out of that. So it's not such a failure, like just like shut it down completely, right? But they had special entity for China. They had Uber China, so it was run by Chinese team, and they definitely share all the data with the government. So they had to go this path because otherwise it would not be possible. And the same with Airbnb. So they acquired local small company that was doing something similar, and they have a new CEO who is Chinese, and they try to do it differently. They of course share all the data with the government because otherwise they will just not allow you to do business there. So yeah, if you want to adjust, you can, right? You don't have to go there. Like some companies don't choose to go there. They, of course, some of them complain, or many people complain, but at the end of the day, it's business, right? So this is something that you need to adjust to, or you cannot just complain because that's not how you build business, right? So you just choose if you want to do that, if you're going to go that path. If not, then okay, maybe you don't do Chinese market, or maybe you try to invest into some Chinese companies, whatever. But you can always choose. But there are some rules for that.
Okay, thank you for this answer. And what do you think about Chinese startup ecosystem? Is it more like a stable or disruptive? What are the major players? Of course, WeChat and Alibaba and Baidu and others. But what is your experience with this ecosystem? How it's working?
Yeah, actually today, somebody from one Czech media, they approached me and they asked me some questions about China. I was actually thinking about it because they asked me about the same thing, like, is Shenzhen the new Silicon Valley, like stuff like that. I don't like that. Like, I don't like that comparison because it's a completely different world. You cannot just compare Silicon Valley with some city in China, even though it's a super exciting city. You still cannot compare it. But what I love about China, why I stayed, is that it's really, really fast. Everything is developing super fast, and yes, it's because of the government. It's because they have so much money. They have now ego is also big because they have been growing for so many years at such a huge pace. So they have everything they need. They have talent because many people from China that studied at the best universities around the world, they come back to China because they see this huge opportunity, and they are trying to build businesses, and they are well educated. They speak English, maybe even 5 different languages, and because Chinese people are just used to work hard, especially when it comes to studies and stuff like that. So now they have basically everything they need, and so it's really moving fast. And also for me personally, like it puts me out of my comfort zone every single day, right? Like the fact that you go outside and you don't even know if people are going to understand you, because sometimes you try to really speak Chinese to them and they're looking at you like, what the hell are you saying? Like it's really hard from this perspective, but I like it because it kind of helps me to get the most out of myself, and I need to really work hard, much harder than them, working weekends and like try to study Chinese and really push myself, because otherwise you cannot succeed and you cannot prove that you have some value to bring to them, right? So that's why I like it. But the startup ecosystem, as I said, trends are very similar. It's just accelerated. So great example, right? Maybe some people heard about those companies. So we have Recola here, right? Like the bike sharing thing. And it has been around for like 5 years, and it's not business. Like, don't tell me that they make money, right? Because I just see maybe 1 bike a day, like nobody is really riding it. I don't really see it on the street, right? And then in China, because you have this scale, then, they have this Mobike and Ofo companies, and it's multi-billion-dollar company right now because they just decided, they raised money and they put bikes everywhere, and now like it's flooded by bikes. Yeah, it's not making money either, but they don't care at the beginning because they have so much money in the bank, so they just want to hit the scale and then turn it into business, something like Uber, right? Even Uber is not making money, even though they have been around for so much time, but they at least hit the scale and can turn it into business later on, right? So that's example how it's different in China: scale, money, and being fast.
Okay, and if you could talk more about some trends or what is right now actual in, for example, in Shenzhen. Mm-hmm. So it's some sharing economy, as you mentioned, bike sharing. It's about messaging. It's about AI. It's about maybe gaming. It's maybe about education, because I know that, for example, in the topic of education, there is around I think that in the report from Edit, it was around 144 million online users who are actually using it for the online education. So
yeah, you mentioned all the trends. Basically, you're very well prepared. So education is really big in China, because when you look at different surveys, then they say that parents would rather not eat and pay for really good education of their kids. So they spend a lot of money on education. That's why they want to send them abroad and really give them a great education, because they believe in it, and it's historically the thing that they really spend money on. And so there is a lot of companies that are education related, and they are billion-dollar companies, and a lot of unicorns, and another thing. What did you mention? What are the other things? Yeah, gaming is
so many pictures.
Yeah.
It may be 10 years ago.
Tencent, right?
I saw it. Yeah.
Tencent. It's the biggest now. I guess it's the biggest gaming company in the world. They acquired Supercell. They acquired some other different companies. They were even now. I read some article that they were thinking about acquiring Rovio, which is Angry Birds, right? And so because in Asia, like that's linked to the fact that they're addicted to mobile phones, right? Like they do everything on their mobile phone. They play games. They chat with their friends. They watch movies. They buy stuff, and they're basically like 24/7 on their mobile phone. That's why they have a lot of power banks there as well, because you need power all the time. They play a lot of games. Tencent, I don't know if you have heard about that game, but it's called Honor of Kings. It's the most profitable game in the world. It made like $1 billion US last year, and they just launched in the US as well. And gaming is huge. I think it's kind of like social thing as well, because in China people just maybe they don't really talk to each other, but they rather play games. I don't know. So it's huge. It's really, really, really big. Like all of my friends, Chinese friends, they always play games.
Actually, someday when I'm going to the center of the Prague, it's pretty similar. I know we are capital city, but so many people, so many guys right now, if you are in the subway or everywhere, anyone is looking for the mobile phone. So do you think that, for example, if you could compare and say some major differences between Chinese and European customers? For example, it's one of it is because the Chinese guys are actually used to. So actually,
absolutely,
smartphones and internet. And
and
usually they are buying everything.
They want to try new stuff. Mm-hmm. It's really because now there is a huge middle class. There is maybe 200, 300 million people in the middle class. It's growing very fast, and they want to get high quality products, right? And I talked about it yesterday as well when I was in Bratislava. So basically they had many problems with the food industry in China, because not many people really trust the local chains and stuff, because they had a problem with the milk powder for kids, because it was fake, and some kids were poisoned, like a lot of kids were poisoned, and I don't know if maybe some of them died as well. I don't know. Because I came to China and everybody was talking about it, so I wasn't there when it happened. But since then, nobody buys milk powder in China that is manufactured by a Chinese brand, or like few people, and everybody imports that from Australia, or buys the stuff that is imported from Australia, from Europe, from US, and so they are willing to spend like double price on that, because they just trust it, right? Another example, in a restaurant with the oil, they had like a lot of issues with that they recycle the oil that they use, to fry, French fries, and then they take it, recycle, and they use it again and again and again and again. And so probably it's not like, when it comes to hygiene, it's not the best, but they did it because they wanted to save money, right? They wanted to make a lot of money. And so again, like Chinese people know that it happens, and so they prefer foreign brands when it comes to food, when it comes to beauty. They love Korean beauty products. They love Czech products like Manufaktura and like some other brands. They are really popular in Taobao in China, which is the biggest e-commerce company, or one of the biggest. It's also Alibaba. It's they want to spend money on high quality stuff, especially if they don't trust the local brands.
Okay. Makes sense. So back to you about startup grind in Asia. So actually one of your really so much successes you had over the last past year, and actually over the past past year.
Yeah, 1 year. 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year.
Opened and you started 12 chapters around Asia.
Well, so when I started working for Startup Grind full time, we had like 5 or 6 cities in China. Mm-hmm. Now we have 12, so we doubled, and we have another maybe 40 or 30, 35 outside of China in Asia. So we have around 45 to 50, or it's changing, right? We are just onboarding some people in Indonesia, so it's changing. But I started focusing on that, like trying to find people like yourself that wanna take this brand and they wanna do these kinds of events in their cities, because we believe that we can empower a lot of people, we can connect a lot of people, and then great things can happen, right? So this is what I'm responsible for. I'm responsible for finding those people, motivating those people, basically kind of like HR person, like spending a lot of time talking to people, and of course trying to find partners so that we can make it sustainable, because it costs something, and so we that's what I'm doing, and I'm very excited about China, the progress, because I see the passion of those people, that they really want to be part of that, even though you still need to explain what it is to give first, what it is to help other people without expecting anything in return, that's the long-term strategy. That's the right long-term strategy. So we really need to explain it, especially in the smaller cities, where there's not so many people that studied abroad, that met people from abroad. So it's challenging on one side, but on the other side, it's exciting, because government is pushing and people are approaching me. They want to work with us. They want us to host events all the time. So we need to also figure out different business model for China right now. That's also what I'm working on.
And actually, how can you handle it? Because right now we are managing around 50 chapters, so 50 cities. So of course, I know that you have some teams of directors, but because it is so many cities. So how are you doing it? Because Startup Grind, it's not only one thing what you are doing.
Yeah, so for me, it's like I'm always trying to connect many things that are very close to each other together, right? So yes, I'm in China. I'm trying to build relationships with the local people, and I work with people that host conferences and stuff, and I help them with something. They help me. They introduce me people. So like I try to find these hacks, let's say, how I can handle that, or how I can find those people, because yes, it would be very, I don't have budget to travel to every single city where we are at, right? It's impossible. I would be just on the plane every single day if I had to go to 50 cities, every once in a while. So that would be hard. So yeah, I think the trick is to find people that are excited about it, because if they are excited about it, you don't have to spend much time on really talking and guiding them. And of course, from time to time they will ask you a question, like what can I do better, or can you help me with this speaker or that. But if they're self-motivated, if they know what it's gonna bring them, then it's basically, I don't need to do anything, right? I just check on them from time to time, and I help them to maybe get a better job, or have a lot of opportunities. Because what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build very active community, and I'm trying to show them that there is a lot of value in it for them. So that, for example, in Chengdu, we had a guy, he was running these events for 6 months, and he was doing an amazing job. He was basically spending the whole weekend all the weekends on running Startup Grind, and he was, doing events for 100, 150 people every month. And, then when somebody comes to me and say, hey, I'm hiring somebody, I need somebody, Chinese to join my company, and I can offer a lot of money, I can do that, then I will just tell them, like, yeah, this guy is amazing, he's working for Startup Grind, he's building this community, and I love working with him, so I will recommend. And we found a job for many people like this. They are now working for accelerators, incubators in China. They're running communities, and they are getting paid for that, even though Startup Grind probably doesn't pay much, right? You can make something from the tickets and from sponsorships, but I don't pay a salary, right? So it's a little bit different model, but I really try to provide a lot of value, because if it's not there, if there is no win-win, then you will never do it, right?
Maybe it's friendship.
Friendship. No, like that's true, right? Like you would not do it if there was no value for you, because you're a busy guy. Like you work for KPMG, you have family and stuff. So if there is no value for you, you will not do it. So I need to figure out like what's the value for you, why you're doing it, how I can help you from my position. Is it that I'm going to introduce you to a couple people, to potential mentor, or to somebody in some company because you want to work for that company, and I just connect the dots. And for me, it's just one email, and I know that you're doing great job, so it's no-brainer, right?
Yeah, definitely agree. We can do the same thing for here in Czech Republic, for the whole people you guys who are here. We would love to help you with anything what you need. For example, with
Patrick knows everybody. So if you want to get connected with somebody from the local startup ecosystem, then he is the great guy.
Or you can install WeChat and ask. Okay, and what is your vision? What would you like to achieve with Startup Grind in Asia? For example, in the next 5 years, if there is some vision for it, or if not?
Yeah, so I have a goal for myself that I want to be in 20 cities in China by the end of the year, because we already have a lot of applications from other cities. So I'm already sitting on another 5 applications. So I'm just going through it, and I'm actually hiring a person, a Chinese, actually another guy from Chengdu. I'm hiring him to help me because, yes, if you want to enter smaller cities, smaller ecosystems, you need to have somebody who speaks Chinese and who can really explain the idea. Because yes, maybe I can explain something, like I can send messages on WeChat in Chinese, but like the message might not be the same, right? Like they might actually, there might be some misunderstanding. So I'm trying to hire somebody. I'm getting some partners for that so that I can pay salary, and they're going to help me in China. And then India is a big thing for me because we had something there. We had a couple of events, couple of people, but it kind of didn't work because probably we didn't have the right people, or we didn't have big enough teams there, so we weren't really active. And so now we are basically rebooting the whole India, and I'm already working with a really, really good friend of mine that I also met through Startup Grind, and now he's helping me with that. Ayush, yeah, doing it basically for free, and because he's 21 years old and he has been hustling, he has been doing companies or building companies for past 5 years, and he just knows everybody. He knows people from Paytm, these big companies in India, and he wants to help because he wants to build something meaningful for his city and country. So we are working on that together. I'm super excited about that, but we'll see. Like it would be great to have another 15 cities in India, but it's very hard to set a goal like that, because when you're just getting started, you don't know anything about it. I've been in India only once, so for me it's really hard to judge right now. But it would be great.
Okay, and what about your latest fireside chat with Gary Vee?
Yeah.
Actually, maybe it could be an interesting way. How did you know about him? Because I know that you traveled around the whole world to visit him. So if you could tell us, what's the story behind that?
No, it was very.
Maybe I don't know. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk? I don't know.
Gary Vee. I guess some people know him. Actually, we have a T-shirt here. So now afterwards, I said we are gonna give one T-shirt because this is a special T-shirt that I created for him when he was in Hong Kong. So we made it. So we can just give it away to some lucky person tonight. But. Yeah, he's basically like my mentor in the sense that I really follow what he says, and I got inspired by what he does. And so I learned about this guy 2.5 years ago. I watched some video on YouTube. I just stumbled upon him, and I really enjoyed what he was talking about and how he was pushing hard work and stuff. And so I decided that I really want to meet this guy, or I want to do something with this guy. And then the opportunity came when he was speaking in Lisbon at Web Summit, and I was there. I met him there for the first time, just took a selfie with him and shook hands. Nothing, like there was no conversation between us. But I met him, and he said he's going to speak in Hong Kong in 6 months at a different conference that is organized by Web Summit as well. And I was like, okay, so this is the chance for us to have him, because somebody else is paying for him to come, because we don't have budget to pay for this guy. Like if you wanna get him if you want to get him speak, you need to pay like 120, 150K US to get him speak. Like, I think today he's in Germany actually speaking at some conference. And so it was a good opportunity because, you know, I watch his content, right? I watch his content, I know what he does, I really like what he does, so I know everything about him, basically. And so what he says, like, he likes to do community stuff, especially if he has some value to offer. If he comes to Hong Kong for the first time, he didn't know anybody. He knew a couple of people, right? Like maybe through his businesses and stuff, but we can offer a lot of value because I will tell him, hey, Gary, you're talking about translating your content into Chinese, and we are the biggest community, and we have 60 people in China that are super excited about entrepreneurship, and they know the local ecosystems, so we can provide a lot of value. We can maybe schedule meetings for you, and you know, we can help you to enter the market, right? So that was my pitch. But there is many things that come into play, right? So first of all, again, introduction, right? So yes, I went to Silicon Valley for our conference, and then I went to New York City because that's where his office is, and I met him with his team, but it was because of my friend from Shanghai that knew Gary, or knows Gary, and Gary is actually his investor in his company. So he introduced me to Gary's team, and I met the team, and we jammed a little bit in the office for 1 hour and a half. I told them what we were doing, why I'm so excited about what he does, and how we can help him, and since then we started this conversation. And then I just got connected with his business development person for APAC, and you know, she's a really, really nice lady, and we clicked because she's from Malaysia originally, and I was helping her with connections in Singapore, Jakarta now. He might be in Jakarta again, and we might do some event with him again, and you know, we introduced guys from Baidu to him. We introduced a guy that had 30 million followers on social media in China just to have a meeting with him and to explore how he can enter China. So we provided a lot of value, and in exchange he came for our event, and you know, we could interview him. So it was amazing, but I worked for 6 months on that. You know, not full time, of course, but you know, it was just continuous, like tweeting at him and like, you know, tagging him on Instagram and trying to DM him on Instagram, everything what he says, you know, like using his strategy.
And because actually it wasn't the visit only for the event, it was actually because you scheduled some meetings for as well.
Yeah.
And I heard that not all of the meetings was actually on time.
Yeah, so we actually, that's why, you know, it was one of the most exciting and stressful days in my life because, you know, like I was very excited about him, and I know how busy he is, right? Like everybody wants to talk to him. Everybody wants to have a breakfast with this guy, right? And I had a breakfast with him at his hotel, and we had a meeting scheduled for the morning with 2 guys from China that were coming from China. And so I was there like 20 minutes earlier, right, like preparing for everything, and then he arrived, and I'm like, yeah, Gary, hey, they're gonna come very soon, and they didn't show up, right? So like I'm sitting there with him, and I'm like, hey, Gary, sorry, they're probably not gonna show up. I'm so sorry that I'm wasting your time and this, and I was really like, it was very stressful, right? Because like, you know, sometimes you just have one chance in life to build a relationship or to make that first impression, and this wasn't the best first impression that you can imagine, right? So yeah, but you know, he took it very well. He told me that like, you know, you cannot control other people. You can just do your best, and they eventually showed up. They showed up, so they had the meeting eventually. So it was good, but I didn't feel really good, right? Like I felt like that I messed it up because I could have done more, and it didn't set the right tone for the whole day. And I spent like 6 hours with him because we had like 4 meetings for him scheduled, and I had to get him into taxi and back and forth between the conference and our event and this and that. I actually have a video from that, so I still need to finish my vlog, but basically, you know, the whole day with Gary, I have it on video, and so it was basically on the phone all the time, like really crazy. So yeah, but he took it very well, so I'm super, super happy and grateful for that.
Did you get a chance to take him to some beer or anything?
No. He joined the after party afterwards. So yeah, he joined us in one bar, and he was hanging out with us for like another 2 hours, but there was a lot of people. So yeah, but you know, he's a crazy dude, right? So he flew from US to Hong Kong, and you know, then he had like 2 days nonstop, like conference, speaking, meetings, this, like 17 hours a day, like literally what he says he does. And then he flew back for another conference. So he doesn't stop, never.
Would you like to be this kind of person in the future?
I think it's too late already, you know. He started much earlier, but no, I'm really inspired by what he does, and like I'm trying to follow his advice because it works, right? Like he pushes the hard work, you know. Of course, you can get lucky, or you can set up a company that is gonna make it really big, and maybe you are gonna even make more money than him. Like he's like, he always says, like, I'm not making the most money. Like, you know, he is running an agency, and yes, of course, it's millions of dollars, and he has some investments and stuff. But there's of course a lot of people that make more money, and he says that, you know, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table, but he cares about different things as well in life. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I saw one video with him about topics that he's running on the long term, not on the short term.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is something important message for, as well?
It's very important, and actually now we are talking about China, and another question that I got today from the media was actually, what is something that you think is not working that well in China? And I think one of the things is actually this kind of thinking, right? So it's very funny, right? Because when you look at the government is very long-term oriented, because they have these 5-year plans all the time, and just one party, and they have this strategy for 40 years, and Silk Road and all of these things. But when you look at the companies and individuals in China, they really want to make as much money in the shortest period of time, and so they don't really care about this long, like what's going to happen in 10 years. I don't know. I probably, you know, maybe the company is not going to be here. I just want to make a lot of money right now. And so that's one of the biggest problems that I have with my Chinese partners, that I really try to push them, like, yes, it takes time to build a relationship with somebody like this. I cannot just sell him, or I cannot really monetize it right away, because it takes time. And, you know, we have a lot of discussions, and it takes a lot of time and perseverance, you know, to really change that mindset. So it's really important. It worked for me, you know, like it took me 6 months. If I just tried twice, I sent 2 emails and I gave up, then nothing would happen. But I consistently, for 6 months, I was just doing the things that he was doing. I started vlogging because of him, right? Because he was pushing, yeah, you should vlog, you should document your journey. I was doing it, and you know, I even did vlog from his office, and the whole team saw it, and you know, like, I think that's also part of the success why we got him, because he saw that, you know, yeah, this guy is doing what I'm saying. He's like, you know, yeah, I should talk to him, you know.
Awesome. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And maybe we can right now move to the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see.
So have you been fooled by someone in China?
Well, it depends how you define being fooled, right? But this one of the things, right? So you set up meetings for Chinese companies or Chinese people with somebody like him, and even though not many people know him in China, but he is still a very successful business person, and they don't show up for a meeting, right? So like, it's kind of getting screwed, you know, and so yeah, this happens. But for me, it's, again, I'm playing long-term game, and I know that if I want to build those relationships and I want to build the trust, you know, you have to sacrifice something, you know. So. And
once you had your online business, here in Czech, I mean, from this point of view. It's possible that someday you may be, you know, because if you don't have a real partner,
yeah,
on the other side of the world, there could be.
Yeah, so we were actually super lucky, because we found our supplier on Alibaba, and we never got cheated on. Like, yes, sometimes, yeah, I remember, like, we lost some phones at the customs, and that happens, but that they would send us fake products or something. It never happened to us. So I think we were very lucky, actually. And so in that business, I don't remember that we would have something major that would cost us something really, really big. Of course, you lose some money from time to time. You know, it's just your mistake, communication mistake, and they send different products, but it's not that they're fake, but maybe like different colors and stuff. You cannot sell them, you have them, you know. So it happened, but it wasn't really like that they would cheat it on us, or.
Actually, is there something what would you recommend to the guys who are actually running this kind of business? They have suppliers on the other side of the world. Are there any some recommendations or anything what you can do at the first time? Maybe if you are trying to look for the supplier at Alibaba, you can have a look for for some.
You know, it's getting easier these days because they speak English, right? So because they want to sell as much as they can. So even at Alibaba, they have these people that are there on the chat, and you know, they speak English, and you can communicate with them very well. So I would always go to Alibaba first, and I would do my research, and then of course I would try to get in touch with somebody who lives in China or who has the experience with the same business that I'm trying to do, and maybe even partner up or do something or get some knowledge from them, because it's really important. If you have never done anything like that, then you know, of course it's gonna be difficult. Second thing, I would do business with female entrepreneurs, or you know, female because
It's pretty tricky, no?
no, it's not. It's actually, well, depends how you look at it. But like my supplier was a girl as well, and you know, it's just like, you're probably not gonna, you know, they're not gonna be so hard on, like, they're not gonna be just like trying to really squeeze you for money or stuff, because it's just different, like the mindset and stuff. And I heard it from many people that they do business with girls, or with you know, somebody that actually can treat them in a different way than guys, you know, because they just have the ego. Guys have the ego, and they just want to make the money, and you know, they're kind of, they can screw you over.
Okay, so looking for women partners.
Yeah, and just having the partner at the first place, you know.
Okay, so
What else?
what do you think are the biggest entrepreneurial opportunities in China for Czechoslovakian entrepreneurs?
Oh, so it's actually interesting. So yesterday I was in Bratislava, and I met the team that is doing something with blockchain. And they're actually pretty successful. They already have like 30 people in the team. They went through 4 ICOs already, the initial coin offering. I don't know how many people have heard about it, but I think it's such a bubble here as well these days that that, you know, like, yeah, there is something happening in the media and everywhere. And you know, they focus on China a lot. They have a person in China because, you know, blockchain and Bitcoin, China is the biggest market, you know, and so they're mining, and they're trying to explore, because, you know, it's the digitalization of the country. You know, fintech is very strong, and even these kind of systems that are trying to go around the big banks and the big intermediaries. So it's definitely one of the things. In general, you know, if you have some technology, or if you have some talent, let's say if you're really good at AI, or like, you know, some image recognition or whatever, like these kind of technologies that are very sophisticated, and you need to be really talented, and you need to have the talent in the team to do it. Like they're gonna pay you in gold in China, you know, because they really focus on that right now, and they want to get the best talent. They have different programs, right? They can,
The government
yes,
supporting.
government is supporting, so they can give you offices for free, or they can even give you like great money to start a business, or even to join some company or something. So these like, yeah, if you have some really good talent or some technology that is relevant for China, then it's always good opportunity, you know. But you need to have the right strategy, right? It's not that you're just gonna pick up the phone and get on a call with a Chinese investor and they are gonna give you billions, right? It doesn't work like that. You still need to have the strategy that you're gonna move to China, you wanna live in China, or you wanna send somebody in China, and you wanna build it up. You know, it's not gonna happen just because they have grants, then you can make it, right? Of course not. But just looking at the 5-year plan, and looking at the trends or things that they're trying to push, it's great how you can, you know, that's how you can recognize what the opportunity is.
So what do you think about virtual reality entertainment in China?
It's huge, right? So we talked about it. Here, and I get it all the time as well. You know, some people approach me and they ask me like, so how can I get in touch with Tencent and stuff? You know, because they invest into these companies, and yeah, gaming in general is huge, right? And you know, China again, it's super fast. So I remember when VR started, you know, like people started thinking or talking about it as a business, not Oculus. Like, yes, of course, it has been around for a while, but probably it's not yet that everybody uses it, right? Like nobody probably here uses VR every single day, right? So it's still very early, but China, they really want to get the feel of the new technology. So they even had, like in a shopping centers, shopping malls, they had these big VR boxes, and you could jump in it for 100 RMB, and you you could just play around for 40 minutes, you know, and stuff like that. So it's you know, gaming in general, it's big for sure, but I'm not an expert, honestly, on VR. Like, I never built a VR company, and I don't deal with those investors every single day, so I cannot say that much. But of course, the trend is there. HTC is investing a lot of money. They set up new accelerator just for VR, you know, and yeah, they invest into it. So definitely, I would explore that, you know, especially also when you connect it with education, for example, because that's another big industry in China. So if you can connect it with education, then it's probably better sell for you than just VR, some gaming, because you can connect to two verticals and maybe sell it you know, in a better way.
Okay, China is investing an enormous amount of money in the West.
Do they still? Because I heard that in Germany they basically cut them off, right? They said like they cannot buy any technology company anymore. Because of the patents and stuff, because they're kind of afraid that China is going to take over. I don't know, Czech Republic, if is still happening? Is it still happening? Or is it just football and I don't know. Actually tomorrow, yeah, we were talking about it with somebody here that tomorrow there is some meeting for, there is Invest Shenzhen. They came to Prague, and there's like 50 people that want to do business in Shenzhen from Czech Republic. They can go to that meeting and meet the delegation from Shenzhen, so probably something is happening. But, sorry, what was the question once again?
If do they want some political or business power in the West?
I don't know, honestly, like, again, like, I don't deal with this kind of business. Like, we don't do that. We don't really focus on real estate and these kind of big deals, like, you know, politics and billion-dollar deals. So honestly, I cannot really say, like, because I don't really talk to those people all the time. But I think it's always both, right? Like, of course, they want to get the technology, maybe, if they actually invest in some technology company. They want to get the technology because they can maybe bring it back to China, or maybe they can diversify, right? They invest a lot in Africa, actually, because Africa wants to get the money. And also they have some technologies like Huawei, right? Like one of the biggest companies when it comes to the cellular, the grid, right? So they do it in Africa. They are the biggest company. In the US, they are not doing so well because US is also afraid of the data, you know, that they would be kind of like stealing or whatever they would be doing. So yeah, but it's definitely happening. But honestly, I cannot really say because I don't spend so much time in these circles.
Yeah, actually, because I know that we make some statistics and some research for that, and in the latest
KPMG.
In the latest years, there's so many investors from the east, and they are trying to invest in the public sector, in a different kind of infrastructure as well. So
there's this Silk Road, right? And I think you know much more about it because I think KPMG is one of the biggest companies that actually focuses on doing these projects. Especially when I talk to KPMG in Hong Kong or China, they really focus on Silk Road. Like investing in Pakistan and these because it's infrastructure from China to Europe, right? I think in Czech Republic they were trying to buy Škoda, right? Like I think the transportation and this, I don't know if the transaction happened, but they are trying to get these companies because it has strategic value for them, right? Because of the Silk Road. But again, it's not what we do here, and I don't really spend so much time with these people because it's politics and you cannot really get in there if you are not part of, if you are not in the politics most of the time, or if you don't know the right people,
Okay, so what is according to you the best current and upcoming tech trend in China?
I think we talked about it a little bit, right? Like all of these. Again, I would repeat that all the things that we are talking about here, be it AI, smart cities, sharing economy, of course, that's really big trend in China these days, and they are going crazy. Like they had even shared umbrellas, and even shopping carts. I just saw on Twitter that somebody was sharing a picture of that. You had a shopping cart, you could borrow it, on a QR code, and you could go shopping. I don't know, if it was a joke or if it was a real business behind it. But China is really it's from extreme to extreme, right? So when something happens, it goes really really bad, and it can go really really really, really right, it's the same with fake products, right? Like you have a lot of great products, like you're holding iPhone, it's made in China, and so it's great product, everybody loves it, but then you have Adidas with three Ds, and they also make it in China and they try to monetize it. So it's always from extreme to extreme in China,
Okay, so how are Chinese people different culturally? Have you managed to find close Chinese friends?
Yeah, so of course, I mentioned a couple of things, right? The thinking, short-term thinking, long-term thinking, the language barrier, of course, the culture, that yes, they want to really monetize everything right away, even they're very transactional in many cases. They're not really kind of relationship-oriented. They're very transactional when it comes to, especially when you talk about business. And, I have a lot of Chinese friends, actually, even business partners or people that I work with on a couple of projects. And, from time to time, we have some small fights when it comes to communication. Like not that we would be fighting like for real.
Because of the Mandarin? Or?
No. It's just understanding, right? Like trying to understand, what's my goal here. Yes, what's my goal here, what is his or her goal, and how we can work together to achieve that goal. And from time to time it doesn't work out because we just, think about things differently, right? But always you have to adjust, but you need to also choose the people that are willing to adjust as well, because you cannot always adjust just yourself, right? Because you will never get anywhere if you're just going to be doing what other people say. But you have some values, right? You want to follow those values in terms of business or your life. And so you need to find the people that are willing to adjust as well, even though the culture might be different.
And the second part of the question, if you hang out with expats as well.
Yeah, of course. Again, there is a lot of people in our community and we try to be very international. We try to bring something new to China. So we do English events, we do Chinese events. So we deal with a lot of expats. And in Shenzhen, there is a lot of expats. I think there is maybe like 150,000 expats, maybe even more. I don't have those numbers, but it's probably even more now. And in Shanghai as well. And, what I'm trying to do is that we have diverse teams. Because I know that it doesn't work if you're going to have just expat in China running startup grind. You need to have somebody who is Chinese on the team as well, so that they can really, really, really make it work, and they can understand what we're trying to achieve globally, and then we can localize and go really deep into the culture. So our teams in China, it's usually 50-50. That we have one Chinese person, one foreigner, or we have more people on the team, but it's usually 50-50. So yeah.
Okay.
Deal with a lot of expats as well.
You seem very passionate about it. So what drives you?
No, it's a good question. I was actually saying that I'm very tired today because I didn't sleep much. But no, it's just I'm super excited about doing what I'm doing. I love working with people, connecting people. I always loved that. When I was at the university, I was always trying to join different organizations to connect with people. And so that drives me that I'm part of something really big, because this is big, right? This is big. We are in 300 cities around the world, and I'm responsible for this thing, and so it's big, right? So I'm grateful for that opportunity at the first place, and just happy to be able to work with people like yourself that actually want to do something for free, and really want to build that genuine relationship and help other people as well. So yeah, that's what drives me. But of course, sometimes you hit the wall, right? Like sometimes it's just impossible to keep up. So you have times that you are not super energetic all the time. I guess and everybody knows what we are talking about, because it can get crazy.
So last few questions.
Okay.
Any favorite hiccup or yours that was linked to cultural misunderstanding?
Oh my God! I had one story that I wanted to talk about, but I cannot.
You can?
No. It's just I just lost the link. It was linked to some sort of miscommunication. Actually, I remember that I was trying to. Yeah, I remember. So I was trying to get somebody on a team in Hangzhou, which is another city in China, and it was a girl, and she was really, really passionate, and she was really into what we were doing, and she was basically building a business for herself, running some co-working space, accelerator in Hangzhou, and I don't know. I was just like. very passionate about what we were doing. I was trying to convey the message, that I want her to join us, and we were joking, and I was joking, and I thought she got the joke, but then afterwards she was calling me that she cannot do it, that she doesn't understand me, and that I'm different kind of guy, that she didn't think about it and stuff like that. So again, you really need to be very, very empathetic, that maybe some joke that you say and that you think is completely normal, then they are not going to understand it, and they're going to think that it's maybe you're trying to offend them, or they are going to lose the face, right? That's the thing in China, that sometimes they lose the face and they will not talk to you, right? And so sometimes also being too nice to people is not good. That's one of the things that you mentioned about working with girls and stuff. So when I'm in general very nice to people, and in China, I don't know, maybe Chinese guys are not super nice to them, so they kind of think that it means something else. So it happened to me that we had I was working with in a team with my partner, and he had all the other employees were females, and I was spending time in the office, and always hugging and stuff, and how are you, and how is it going, how can I help you, and then one of the girls came to me, and she said if I actually mean something else, and if we're gonna date or something, I said no, I'm just trying to be nice and helping out, and so she didn't get it, and then she didn't talk to me for 5 months, so because she lost the face, right? Because I just told her, no, I'm not interested in you as dating you, but I'm just interested in you're my friend, we're working together, so I'm trying to help as much as I can, and I'm trying to be nice to you, right? Because that's what normally we do here, even when we work, when we were working for Rocket Internet, we were hugging all the time, we were having breakfast together, and stuff like that. So that's how you do it.
Okay, so it's about some switching the mindset.
Yeah, you need to be very empathetic, and always keep in mind that some things that you do might be perceived in a completely different way, because the culture is different and stuff.
Okay, so the last question. Realize, so what is the approach strategy with Chinese investors?
Sorry, which one is it? What is
what is the approach strategy
Okay.
with Chinese investors? How would you approach them?
I think it's the same as everywhere, right? Even if you want to approach investors in Czech Republic, you probably need to go to some event. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to be prepared, and you need to really know that the investor is the right investor for you, that they can actually invest into you, And of course, introduction always helps. So you really need to do your homework. But I think Chinese investors, of course, the language barrier, right? That's one of the things that some of the investors probably they don't speak English, because especially if they're government backed, if the government puts money into that fund, then they're not really internationalized, let's say. So that might be the issue. So again, having the partner is the best. If somebody in China, if you have a friend that is Chinese that has been studying somewhere, or he's in that industry, or she, you can try to leverage that relationship to get in touch with investors. But I think it's the same, honestly. They're always looking for deals as well. They wanna hear interesting ideas and interesting stories. However, having said that, now when I think about it, when I kind of go through my own experience and experience of my friends that were running businesses, if you're a foreigner and you want to target Chinese market, then you're probably not going to succeed in raising money from Chinese investors, because they don't believe in you, because they know the culture is so much different, that you don't speak the language, and that for you it's basically going to be impossible to compete with Chinese guys that are on the market in China. They understand everything. They studied abroad. They're much faster in terms of making decisions, in terms of building team, because of course they're other employees are going to trust more a Chinese founder that has something behind him or her, again, than a foreigner that just came super excited, right? I'm gonna take over China. It's not going to work. So again, you need to be very smart. So if you want to go to China, build a company in China and target local customers, get money from Chinese investors, get a Chinese partner, have a Chinese entity, and really do your homework and spend some time in China, and not just hope for that you're gonna be here in Prague and run business in China. It doesn't work like that. And if you want to get money from Chinese investors, because you have something special, cool that they might be interested, but you don't want to target Chinese market, then again, it's tricky that not many Chinese investors can actually invest in you. Because there is, it, right? You do these things all the time at KPMG, or you probably study it much more than I do, that, that there is this regulation when it comes to the capital outflow, inflow. You know, not all the investors in China can invest US dollars, can actually invest abroad. You know, so you know, again, you probably have to go to the biggest funds that actually have raised somewhere outside of China. Even though they're Chinese companies, they might have JVs, so they have fund in Silicon Valley and in China. And then if you are in Silicon Valley, they're going to invest money through the Silicon Valley fund, probably not from China. You know, so you need to be also smart about this because it's just regulation. You know, you cannot get RMB into your company here in Czech Republic, right?
Okay, yeah, I said that this was the last question, but once comes up.
Okay.
Do you have a Chinese girlfriend?
No. No, I don't have a Chinese girlfriend right now.
Okay, so thank you very much. And
Yeah.
right now we have actually
Cool.
some small competition from the show.
So how are you gonna do it?
Yeah, actually we have some tickets with
Cool.
names of all the attendees.
Gary V.
All the guys. So maybe you can pick up.
No, you do it. You do it. No, you're the boss.
Sure, you.
Okay. I don't want to look at that.
Oh.
Okay, I have it.
So who's the lucky one for shirt and as well for the ticket?
Eva Harapesová.
Oh, Eve.
Oh, okay. So you get a T-shirt. I'm not sure if you want to wear it actually, but maybe you can give it.
Almost the only one in this room, like
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Is it my size? I think
It's M.
Yeah.
It's M.
Actually, I think
It's M right here. Yeah. So if you like Gary V, you know, then
I
you
think I will have to
can
do
take
my-
a picture, post it
I
on
will have to do
Instagram,
my homework, I think.
and he's gonna
Thank
get
you
in touch
very
with you.
much.
No, thank you for coming. Cool.
Okay, so
Thank you.
yeah, that's
Yep.
That's it. Oh.
That's it. So what are you gonna do now? You're the boss.
Yeah, actually, thank you very much for coming. Right now is the time for just a couple of, we should have.
Do we have some pizza?
And you can talk to Jan about anything what you want, about other questions. And as well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to chat, I'm gonna be here, so just approach me. And we can check in Czech, actually. We can chat in Czech as well.
Yeah.